Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember, context is everything. Media Network founder and CEO, John Michael, is reading a textbook cover to cover. And today, we're on Chapter 23, Section 3. Yesterday we talked about Otto von Bismarck and how he united the fragmented German states after Napoleon fragmented them from the Holy Roman Empire, and then how as the Chancellor under William I, he tried to diminish the roles of the Catholic Church and the Socialist Party. Neither of those things worked. The Catholic Church persisted in their following of the Pope, and the Socialists became the most prominent party in the Reichstag, which is basically like the parliament, I guess you would call it, of those German states of Germany. So it didn't work, Otto, but he was very successful otherwise. Today, different. Unifying Italy. Remember, this chapter is about nationalism and unifications of these nations in about the late 1800s to early 1900s. So unifying Italy now. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe. Please like. Thank you. My name is John Michael. Unifying Italy. Setting the scene. At the Congress of Vienna, Italian nationalists hoped to end centuries of foreign rule and achieve unity. To Metternich, the idea of unified Italy was laughable. Italy, he was convinced, was a mere geographic expression. Although the people of the Italian peninsula spoke the same language, they had not experienced political unity since Roman times. By the early 1800s, this is about, 1,500 years after Roman times? How strange. By the early 1800s, though, Italian patriots were determined to build a new, united Italy. As in Germany, unification was brought about by the efforts of a strong state and a shrewd, ruthless politician, Count Camillo Cavour, C-A-V-O-U-R, Cavour. I'm going to call him Cavour. Obstacles to Italian unity. Heading. Obstacles to Italian unity. For centuries, Italy had been a battleground for ambitious foreign and local princes. Frequent warfare and foreign rule led people to identify with local regions. The people of Florence considered themselves Tuscan. Those of Venice, Venetians. And the people of Naples, Neapolitans, and so on. But as in Germany, the invasion of Napoleon had sparked dreams of national unity. The Congress of Vienna, however, ignored the nationalists. At Vienna, Austria took control of much of the northern Italy, while Habsburg monarchs ruled various other Italian states. In the south, a French Bourbon ruler was put in charge of Naples and Sicily. In response, nationalists organized secret patriotic societies and focused their efforts on expelling Austrian forces from northern Italy. Between 1820 and 1848, nationalist revolts exploded across the region, each time Austria sent in troops to crush the rebels. Mazzini's Young Italy. But in the 1830s, nationalist leader Giuseppe Mazzini founded Young Italy. The goal of this secret society was to constitute Italy one free, independent, republican nation. In 1849, Mazzini helped set up a revolutionary republic in Rome, but French forces soon toppled it. Like many other nationalists, Mazzini spent much of his life in exile, plotting and dreaming of a united Italy. The tide of nationalism. Ideas grow quickly, Mazzini once said, when watered by the blood of martyrs. Although revolution had failed, nationalist agitation had planted seeds for future harvests. To nationalists like Mazzini, a united Italy made sense not only because of geography, but also because of common language and history. Nationalists reminded Italians of the glories of the ancient Roman and medieval papacy. To others, unity made practical economic sense. It would end trade barriers among the Italian states and stimulate industry. The struggle for Italy. New heading. After 1848, leadership of the Risorgimento, or Italian nationalist movement, passed to the Kingdom of Sardinia. Its constitutional nationalist movement passed to Its constitutional monarch, Victor Emmanuel II, hoped to join other states to his own, thereby increasing his power. Cavour, the guy I mentioned earlier. In 1852, Victor Emmanuel made Count Camillo Cavour his prime minister. Cavour came from a noble family but favored liberal goals. He was flexible, practical, crafty politician, willing to use almost any means to achieve his goals. Like Bismarck in Prussia, Cavour was a monarchist who believed in realpolitik, which is strictly practical politics, which can be very heartless and generally manifests itself in heartless ways. Once in office, Cavour moved first to reform Sardinia's economy. He improved agriculture, had railroads built, and encouraged commerce by supporting free trade. Cavour's long-term goals, however, was to end Austrian power in Italy and annex its provinces of Lombardy and Venetia. Venetia? V-E-N-E-T-I-A. Intrigue with France. By 1855, led by Cavour, Sardinia joined Britain and France in the Crimean War against Russia. Sardinia did not win territory, but it did have a voice at the peace conference. Sardinia also gained the attention of Napoleon III. In 1858, Cavour negotiated a secret deal with Napoleon, who promised to aid Sardinia in case it faced war with Austria. A year later, the shrewd Cavour provoked that war. With help from France, Sardinia defeated Austria and annexed Lombardy. Meanwhile, nationalist groups overthrew Austrian-backed rulers in several other northern Italian states. These states then joined with Sardinia. Garibaldi's red shirts. Next, attention shifted to the kingdom of the two Sicilians in southern Italy. The kingdom of the two Sicilies in southern Italy. There, Giuseppe Garibaldi, a longtime nationalist and ally of Mazzini, was ready for action. Like Mazzini, Garibaldi wanted to create an Italian republic. He did not, however, hesitate to accept aid from monarchist Cavour. By 1860, Garibaldi had recruited a force of 1,000 red-shirted volunteers. Cavour provided weapons and allowed 2 ships to take Garibaldi and his red shirts to the south of Sicily, or south to Sicily, rather. With surprising speed, Garibaldi's forces won control of Sicily, crossed to the mainland, and marched triumphantly north to Naples. An English volunteer recalled his impressions of Garibaldi during one battle. English volunteer. I saw Garibaldi with his red shirt wringing wet with perspiration, his eyes sternly gleaming, his face flushed with the heat of conflict. I heard his voice commanding, but it was no longer now the calm, clear voice of a quieter time. It was hoarse and guttural and choked with emotion. For the good general saw his gallant band unfortunately pouring out their lifeblood. That's W.B. Brooke, quoted in Garibaldi's Great Life Observed. Let me show you what Sardinia is, because I was looking at this map and was like, oh, that's what Sardinia is. So this is Italy. This is Sicily. And this is Sardinia, an island nation. I wonder if it still is an island nation, or if it's part of something else. I would assume it's part of something else at this point. Unity at last. Garibaldi's success alarmed Cavour, who had feared the nationalist hero would set up his own republic in the south. To prevent this, Cavour urged Victor Emmanuel to send Sardinian troops to deal with Garibaldi. Instead, the Sardinians overran the Papal States and linked up with Garibaldi and his forces in Naples. Didn't work, right? In a patriotic move, Garibaldi turned over Naples and Sicily to Victor Emmanuel. Shortly afterwards, southern Italy voted to approve the move, and in 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was crowned King of Italy. What? There's a lot going on. I'm kind of missing out on what it is. Let's see here. Garibaldi. It's a good name. A good Italian name. 2 areas remained outside of the new Italian nation: Rome and Venetia. Cavour died in 1861, but his successors completed his dream. In a deal negotiated with Bismarck, Italy acquired Venetia after the Austro-Prussian War. Then, during the Franco-Prussian War, which we spoke of 2 days ago, in 1870, France was forced to withdraw its troops from Rome. For the first time since the fall of the Roman Empire, Italy was a united land. That's pretty significant. For the first time since the fall of the Roman Empire, Italy was a united land in 1861. That's 1,500 years, right? I might have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like 1,500 years of not being Italy. And now they're back. Welcome back, Italy. Glad to have you. Wait a minute. Italy became a nation in 1870 or 1861, and there was a massive Italian, immigration to the United States in like 1900. Did it not really work out that well for the Italians or something? Or did they just see the opportunity? Wouldn't they have seen the opportunity earlier? I don't know. But it is kind of interesting to consider. Italy became Italy like 30 years before a massive immigration to the United States of Italians. Sounds interesting to me, I'll tell you. Sounds interesting to me. I'm half Italian, so my lineage would have been of that group that it became Italy and then they left. Challenges facing the new nation, Italy. Maybe we'll learn about the challenges that caused a lot of people to leave. Italy faced a host of problems. Like many states Bismarck cemented into the German Empire, Italy had no tradition of unity. Few Italians felt ties to the new nation. Strong regional rivalries left Italy unable to solve critical national issues. Divisions. The greatest regional differences were between the North and the South. The North was richer and had more cities than the South. For centuries, northern Italian cities had flourished as centers of business and culture. The South, on the other hand, was rural and poor. Its population was booming, but illiterate peasants could wring only a meager existence from the exhausted farmland. Hostility between Italy and the Roman Catholic Church further divided the nation. Popes bitterly resented the seizure of the Papal State, and of Rome, and the government granted the papacy a small territory of the Vatican. So you're telling me when Italy became a nation, the Papal States were bigger before that. Italy becomes a nation, and then fragmentation is where you get the small Vatican City, which is like its own nation within the city of Rome, which is bizarre. But that bizarrity, I guess, stems from this, like, agreement that occurred 150 years ago. How bizarre. How bizarre, how bizarre. The government granted the papacy small territory of the Vatican. Popes, however, saw themselves as prisoners and urged Italian Catholics, almost all Italians, to not to cooperate with the new government. Turmoil under the Victor Emmanuel. Italy was constitutional monarchy with two-house legislature. The king appointed members of the upper house, which could veto bills passed by the lower house, although the lower house consisted of elected representatives. Only a small number of men had the right to vote. In the late 1800s, unrest increased as radicals on the left struggled against conservative government. Socialists organized strikes while anarchists, people who want to abolish all government, turned to sabotage and violence. Slowly, the government extended suffrage to more men and passed laws to improve social conditions. Still, the turmoil continued. To distract attention from the troubles at home, the government set out to win an overseas empire. What? To distract attention from troubles at home, the government set out to win overseas empires. Progress. Despite its problem, Italy did develop economically, especially after 1900. Although the nation lacked important natural resources such as coal, industries did sprout up in the northern regions. Industrialization, of course, brought urbanization as peasants flocked to the cities to find jobs in factories. As in other countries, reformers campaigned to improve education and working conditions. The population explosion of this period created tensions. One important safety valve for many people was immigration, or movement away from their homeland. Many Italians left for the United States, Canada, and Latin American nations. Argentina. Looking ahead, and this is the end of our time today. Thank you for listening, and please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. And if you have this on for your little dog while you're away as like a white noise so that they feel like they have company, thank you, little dog. I appreciate your attention. Looking ahead, although unification brought great challenges, it brought increased strength. By 1914, Italy was significantly better off than it had been in 1861. But it was hardly prepared for the Great War that broke out in that year, and into which it was soon drawn. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoy the weather, and I hope God sheds his blessings upon you. Goodbye.